Get Ready to Learn. I'm your host, Cindy Putman, and I'm going to be talking with my friends and colleagues from the Putnam County School System this morning about the Teach Tennessee project that we've been working on in partnership with the Tennessee Department of Education during this time when we've all been at home. So welcome, Jill and Sam, and I want you guys to introduce yourselves and just tell my listeners what your title is for the school system, and then we're just going to jump into talking about this wonderful project.
Thanks, Cindy. I'm Jill Ramsey, and I'm the Curriculum and Instruction Supervisor for Putnam County Schools. I work primarily with pre-K through fourth grade in all of our elementary buildings and teachers. So that's my role in Putnam County.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Brooks. I'm the Supervisor for Personalized Learning in Putnam County, and that includes a K-12 virtual school that we push out through the VITAL program in Putnam County. And then also what's transpired is leading personalized learning integration in our district in the past couple of years. And boy, are we thankful that we started doing that 3 years ago.
And Sam, I think that's a whole other show, because I really do feel like Putnam County was a head leap above others, because you had been doing VITAL and all the online learning, and we had been working hard on that, never really knowing that that was going to be the new way during this end of this school year that we were going to be working with our families and with the kids. But Jill and Sam, how did all this come about?
Well, initially, I was contacted by Lisa Coons at the State Department, who asked if I could gather a group of about 4 teachers together to do some math and reading lessons that would be on PBS. So I didn't initially have a lot of information, and I was like, sure, that we can do that. And I knew it was in partnership with PBS, and we've done lots with you, Cindy, and WCTE, and have had a great partnership with you, you know, in everything, ready for kindergarten and that kind of thing. And so I thought, this is great. And that was when remote learning and this COVID just started, and we really didn't know, you know, what the time frame was going to be, how long we were going to be out. And so we were all new to it, and we were frantically trying to, you know, gather our troops and our resources. So we thought this will be great.
And
yeah.
Sam, how did you get involved in this?
Well, for me, it was kind of a conversation with you and WCTE and the folks at the Department of Education. You know, our former director is actually at the department now, and I know he had his hands in this and trying to figure out what we were going to try and do to help families. And, you know, a lot of folks around the state, Cindy, are not as advanced in virtual learning as we are. And, you know, a lot of our teachers were already using Google Classroom at this time. And so I think it was just a natural thing for us to be involved in all the great work that Jill has done with ELA. I think that was probably the reason that they first reached out to Putnam County. But from that point, you know, Jill's right. Everything moved so quickly. We were considering possibly getting these teachers into a more of a teacher setting in a room in front of a smart board where we could film them maybe through WCTE or our own means in Putnam County. That quickly changed because we couldn't gather like we wanted to in that situation, and pretty much were locked down to being at home. And so we finally came up with the idea to use some tools that we have available in Putnam County. And man, these 4 teachers really jumped on board very quickly. And you talk about pushing your learning and growing yourself. I think they've really done that this past 6 weeks. And you know, because they were willing and able, and they were already awesome teachers to begin with, I think that helped the situation. And for my part, I was just able to, you know, really help them try and figure out how to turn things in, how to get things to the state. And then on Jill's end, she was able to just guide everything along with you, Cindy, and make sure that we were moving in the right direction. And you know, they had some expert tutelage from you and your years at WCTE and all that you've done in the past. And I think, you know, all of these things and everybody's skills just came together to create a pretty responsive team and gave us the ability to be able to do it.
And you know, I'm just going to be honest, guys. I was a little nervous about this when we started because I know these teachers and I knew that they would be stellar in what they were doing. But you're right. It's very different when you are doing something from your home, using your own, your computer and doing those kinds of things. And not only that, ladies, which I want y'all to introduce yourselves in just a moment, but when I first started thinking about this, because I knew it was going to be a 2-hour block, it was going to air on all the PBS stations across the state of Tennessee from 10 to 12 every day, I thought, well, you know, they'll go on and they'll do one lesson. I didn't know that you guys were going to be doing, how many lessons a week were they doing, Sam?
5 lessons a week for a total of 20 lessons, and going from, you know, basically not doing a whole lot of this at all to, you know, being a true video teacher was pretty neat.
And Jill, because you are the pre-K4 supervisor, you all really, the Putnam County only focused on the beginning grades, our first and second grade teachers. So first and second grade teachers, please introduce yourselves. Tell me what school you normally are a member of, and then tell me what you have been teaching online.
Okay, I'm Allie LEDFORD, and I'm a second grade teacher at Prescott South Elementary. And I normally teach second grade, so I was able to teach second grade ELA on these video lessons.
I am Sarah Vaughn, and I teach first grade at Baxter Primary School. And for these, I taught first grade math.
And I'm Lindsay Spain, and I teach at Prescott South Elementary second grade, and I did the second grade math.
Now, when you teachers were doing these lessons, the State Department sent you the curriculum guide that they wanted you to utilize. But we all know as good educators, we get that curriculum, but we have to add our own magic touch to it to really relate to the kids that we're working with. Allie, if you could describe in one word what this experience has been like, what would you say?
Oh, in one word. I would just say that it was a learning curve, even for me. And I had previously taught with myself using videos. Like Sam and Jill previously mentioned, like our district, we are lucky because we have already had been using Google Classroom, and I had already used Screencastify, but I have to say that it was a challenge for me to do it in a certain time frame and to make sure that I was looking in the right direction of the camera while I was using the curriculum. And there were times that it was challenging, but I definitely learned a lot through this experience.
It's not really a descriptive word, but knowledge. I had zero knowledge at the beginning of this on Screencastify or any of the things that we used. And I learned something every single day.
And Lindsay, how about you?
I think I would use the word challenging in the sense of it was challenging to deliver lessons when you didn't have your students in front of you, because as we know, you pick up the vibe from them, and if they're understanding, or if you need to backtrack, or if you need to move on. So that's how it was challenging for me, not being able to see their sweet little faces and to see, okay, I have no clue what she's talking about, or yes, I'm getting it, keep going. So
And
mm-hmm.
that is the hardest thing as a teacher, because that's what I've said. You know, we've been doing all these Zoom calls and everything, and what I miss more than anything is that interaction with my colleagues, that interaction with the students, with, you know, with the cafeteria workers, with the custodial staff. You just miss that. But Jill, when we were working on these videos, I mentioned in our last segment about the curriculum that these teachers were using. How did that model for parents what they should be doing with their kids?
Sure. I don't think it was as much as important what curriculum. They used a different curriculum, I think, weekly to present their lessons. I think the important thing is that these weren't actors that were given a script. These were real teachers. Kids recognized that. I mean, they acted like teachers. They asked a question, then said, now think. And so when I watched those videos, I watched it from the perspective of being a parent. So I was thinking, this is this is awesome. Now I know what I could do to help my child. I mean, this is a model for what it should look like when I'm helping my child. I give them time to think. You know, I give them time to, you know, to answer the question. I have conversation with them. I just think it was a perfect model for parents, and I've had so much positive feedback from parents saying we got so much out of those lessons. I knew that after those lessons that I could speak to my child and further their learning just based on what they started during that PBS time. So it's been phenomenal, the response from parents and their children. I know that we've got stars in our district now who that kids are going to say, oh, I remember you from PBS. So anyway, they can't go anywhere. We're going to keep them and hold on to them, but they were amazing.
And they're going to get some great WCT PBS Kids t-shirts too, because they have been stars. Sam, in your career as an educator, did you ever dream that we would get to this place? I mean, I know because of COVID-19, but the fact that technology would be this important in our school system?
Well, I tell you what, you know, we were well down the pathway to personalized learning in the classroom. I think what we learned 3 years ago when we started that was we were device oriented at that time. We were, you know, Google certified, and we were teaching teachers how to use Google in the classroom. But, you know, what I didn't realize at that time, it's not really about a device, it's about the student. So when we personalized that learning, Cynthia, we were going down the path of trying to figure out how the student learns best. And I think we've come a long way in the last 3 years on making it about the student and not about a device. And now COVID-19 hits, and all of a sudden it really does become more about a device. So I think the training that we went through at that time has really helped us in Putnam County to be able to deliver some actionable items to our students that they can, you know, really be responsive on and learn from. And so moving into this situation, it was having folks like this that already had some training. It wasn't a huge stretch, but you were right when you said in the beginning, you know, we're getting calls from people all over the southeastern United States asking us, you know, how were you so ready? How did you develop that website? How did you become responsive so quickly in helping your students, when there's some other folks that aren't even able to adjust, and teachers are not really feeling that they're helping their students at home because they're just not ready for it. So the impact has been vast. And, you know, I've said it to many people who have called over the last 3 weeks. Before this, we were moving at a slow crawl to try and figure out where technology fits. And now it's like we're at light speed. And so I guess for me, it's job security. So I'm happy about that. But
well, and I love that we were where we were, and that our district's been able to give devices to kids to use at home, and we've been able to reach them on air and online and through, you know, Google and Zoom and all the things that we've been doing. But Allie, if you had just an aha moment during these last, as Sam said, these 20 lessons that you guys were each individually responsible for, filming, preparing, prepping, sending to Sam so he could upload them and send them to NPT, our sister station in Nashville, so they could put them on the TDOE, and all of that could happen. So what was your aha moment?
I think my biggest aha moment was how many families we were able to access through these videos. I was receiving text messages and pictures from extended families statewide that were saying, my kids and I are home today together, and we are watching you teach us about insects. And people I hadn't heard from in a long time, and they were so excited to see us. And I'm thinking, wow, she lives 3 hours away, you know? And the other thing is I received the emails from Commissioner Schwinn about how many YouTube video views we had. And I think last week it was up to 41,000 views on YouTube. And I was just shocked at how many people were touching with these videos.
Sarah?
I think my biggest aha moment was thinking about how it needed to be real. And when I would get videos from parents in my own class, you know, I wasn't using what they would normally see in class, but it was making math more relatable at home for the parents too. I think like what Jill said earlier is that it made the parents more comfortable to ask questions. And it was not just me and the children, it was the whole family too. So that was really great to see.
Lindsay, any great aha moments?
Yes, actually, I think just teaching math in general. I'm the past few years, you always are looking for the latest research and what can we do? How can we help them further their knowledge? And when the state sent us scripts, like Jill mentioned, the curriculum was different each week. So to see the different ways, which I knew, but I never actually done all the different ways of teaching a certain concept. And I thought, well, I can take this back to my classroom and do this. I can take this back to my classroom and do that. I learned a lot. I learned a lot professionally, and I learned a lot about how our impact is making a difference. And as Allie mentioned, I had friends across the state that would message and say, we just watched math with you, and we've always wished we could, be in Putnam County, but we're not, and we wish we could be with you teachers, and we get to see a little bit of that.
I want you guys to know that I think you all have done just an outstanding job on this, because it was pretty overwhelming in the beginning, because to think that you have to do these lessons that you've not taught before, and you're going to do 30-minute lessons in a room by yourself, and you're going to be engaging, and you're going to, not get choked on something, and you're not going to have to, and the internet's not going to die on you. I mean, all of those things that we're in front of a classroom, we don't even have to worry about. But one of the things I think is so important is that those are captured on the Tennessee Department of Education YouTube channel, and a link to that is in the education blog that went live when we went on the air this morning. And the good thing about that is parents can go back and take a refresher course, watch it over again. And I know I have a little great niece who's 2, and her mom has been home with her, and they've been watching, because my niece Hannah said, this will help me know how to prepare my daughter for pre-K. So she said, these are the math concepts, the reading concepts, all those kinds of things.
I really believe that after this, business will not be as usual. It's going to look very different, because I have heard so many people, and I do believe that you can make something good out of every bad situation. Yeah. We've learned to do things differently, and it works better. Like pre-K registration, guys, is in person with Diana and Allison, and they make appointments, and we're learning so much more about the families and the kids by making appointments and talking to them in person rather than taking a paper. We can match them to classes, and we're not ever going to go back and do it the other way. We're always going to have in-person registration now for pre-Ks.
But okay, teachers, here we're going to play a game. It's going to be called bloopers. What was your biggest blooper that I wish you guys could see their sweet faces. What was your biggest blooper that happened when you were trying to film any of these lessons? Allie, I have to let you go first, because it was all over your face when I asked the question.
Oh, goodness. I am glad the blooper reel was not live on WCTE, okay? Well, I'm lucky. I don't have any sweet little children at home, unfortunately, yet. But we do have a sweet little dog, a little shelter dog, and she made herself known in some of those videos. Whether the mailman was coming or she just felt like there was a predator outdoors. So she wanted to be a guest star appearing in the WCTE teaching moments.
Well, that's something we can think about, a puppy-driven show. All right. Miss Sarah?
I think I might be the blooper queen. I got really, really good at waving at the camera and writing down where I made mistakes so I could go back and find it. But earlier you said something about choking. Well, somehow I got choked on my own air. And later on that evening, I woke up out of a deep sleep, and I was like, did I edit that out? And so I've worried all this whole time if I've edited that out or if everybody's going to see me choke on my own air. But there were lots of things, but that one stands out the most.
You edited it out, because I watched all your all's videos and I saw no choking whatsoever.
Right.
Lindsay?
Mine actually is like Allie's. I have a dog named Piper. And when I left the bedroom door open and I'm saying, okay, boys and girls, I'm acting like my students are there. And when I was saying that, Piper just started going, oh, 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 like she was responding. And I was like, oh, no, darling, you can't be responding. We can hear you.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's probably like right in the middle of the lesson. And then I had to close both doors. So because she never cries out like that. So it was really surprising to me, but it was sweet because she could hear me talking. She's like, I'm missing out. What are you doing? So, yeah.
Well, good. Well, I don't think you all did any bloopers. I think it was just extraordinary the work y'all were able to do. But Jill, how do you feel like this really has supported parents? And, we're getting ready to come up on summer now. So what tools do you think these teachers have shared with parents that those parents could continue this summer to really support their kids?
You just asked the question about the bloopers. I think it would have been great just to leave that in there because that's real life. And guess what? That's what parents are dealing with, except they may have 3 kids and 2 dogs and still trying to provide instruction. So seeing that teachers have dogs at home too. And I think a couple of you teachers, I've seen some of your social media things and you mentioned, about your pets and you're trying to provide instruction to your kids and so that is real life. But I think most of all, it's just a reminder to parents that this job's hard. Teaching your kids is hard work, and I've heard that mentioned many times. I think parents have a new respect for what you do with kids, and multiply that by 20 to 25 kids every day. And I think that they're going to come back to school in the fall or when we get back to school, and parents are going to be much more supportive of you, and they're going to know how to better support their kids at home just because they've been able to watch you do it in live, up close and personal. So I think that we're going to have a whole different perspective in terms of working together as a community. We're all in this together, and I think our partnership with our families is going to be strengthened because of all this.
And Sam, of course, we never, could have possibly dreamed that this would have happened. The first time I heard COVID-19, we thought it was, on the other side of the world. And I didn't even think it would affect us the way it has. But I know that you were so pleased that we already had the foundations in place. But Sam, let's dream big. Where could we take this? I know we're going to resume school, but I'm just saying, how could this look to support our kids and families in the future?
Well, I think having some type of digital backing for classroom materials is nice. We've had to, in this situation, we didn't have any other way to deliver it. There were some families that, couldn't get the digital, the internet wasn't available or whatever, and we had to do some packets, but even that, was very minimal with what happened with COVID. So I think the sky's the limit as far, I want to be real careful and make sure that we understand, some students may not learn best this way. So we have to always be ready to serve each and every student individually with what is the best way that they learn, what are their interests and what motivates them in a classroom. And I think that's what's going to come out of this. Again, the technology is important, but it's not everything. It's just a mode of delivery. And so I think from this point on, we will consider that and try and figure out what is the best way each and every individual student learns. And I want to turn that around and just pose the question, back to these teachers. If there's somebody out there listening and going to see this and have watched your videos, and maybe some districts weren't as lucky as we were to have folks that were ready to go, what advice would you give individual teachers out there if they want to dip their toe in the water and try some of the things that you've done?
I think to take one thing at a time, to do something that you would like to implement and implement that well. Do not be overwhelmed by trying to do multiple things. Choose 1 or 2 things at a time and try that weekly.
I think just try it. Have the courage to try it. And even if you're one of the only ones doing it, you can still do it. And we're human and we're going to make mistakes, but if we don't ever try it, we'll never do it anyways. So just go for it.
It's important to jump in and just I agree. Just try, Sarah, and then just reflect on what went well and what could I change and improve upon in the future.
So on behalf of all the parents and grandparents and caregivers across the state of Tennessee, thank you. Thank you for giving of your time. Thank you from teaching from your heart, because that's what I saw when I watched the videos. You guys poured your heart into it. Not only are you great teachers, you love those kids, and even the kids that you don't know that are out there, you know, on the other side of the screen. And Jill and Sam, thank you all for being brave enough to say that Putnam County Schools would participate in this. We were one of 3 districts across the state, and Tennessee has a lot of school districts. So the fact that we were willing and able, Jill, has it been a good experience?
I think it's one of the best experiences that I've been part of. It's been a rough time for all of us. And I love that, you know, that our teachers mentioned having the courage, because courage is not about not being afraid. Courage is about being afraid, but still doing it. And I don't think anybody can say that Putnam County is afraid to try anything. And I still go back to what Sam said about personalized learning. Gosh, I'm so thankful for personalized learning and where we were and how prepared we were. Can we do things better? Absolutely. And if this comes around again and we have to do it, we're already talking about, you know, what that's going to look like. How are we going to support the families and children who aren't prepared to come back in the fall, even if we do have school? So we're learning from this experience. It's been a wonderful experience, but we have learned from it, and I think we're going to be better because of it.
Well, thank you all for joining me this morning. And I do think we're already better because of it. We've grown and we've expanded. And I want to thank Becky McGurra, because Becky has been such a champion of this program and worked diligently with the other PBS stations across the state to get, you know, this air block of time on their main channels, which is a huge thing to give up. But thank you all so much.
I feel fortunate to have been asked, and thankful to have helped families, hopefully, during this difficult time.
Awesome. Very good.
Hi, I'm Sarah Vaughn, and I teach first grade at Baxter Primary School, and I was able to do first grade math for the Tennessee at-home learning series. I think doing this taught me how I can face things in the future. And, you know, when kids are absent, and I think back to, I had some that had the flu and they were out for the whole week and they lost that. And by doing this, it showed me that they don't have to lose that instruction anymore. We can do it this way.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Spain, and I teach second grade at Prescott South Elementary School. And for the Tennessee at-home learning series, I taught second grade math. It was a wonderful experience, challenging at times, but challenging in the most ways that you learn and you grow. And one thing I found that was additionally helpful for the parents was we always use these terminologies, and we do videos that we might send home, or letters that explain the terminology, but for the parents to be able to see us putting in application meant that they could also do it with their student. And like Sam, you mentioned earlier, everybody learns differently. So if the child was not picking up on the concept on the television, the parent knew the terminology to sit down and sit next to them and be able to do it with them. So I think that's been another benefit.
The only thing I want to add is, it wasn't a question, but I have to share this. This is so funny, which I think it's so funny that Allie just said, oh, can I do that again? I'll do it better. Look like a kid in a classroom. Let me try again. Anyway, what was so funny is when we asked the 4 teachers to do this, and let me just say this, we prayed about, I mean, I had the coaches helping me. We talked about it, like who do we ask to do that? I really think things happen for a reason, and your names came up just because we knew that you would embrace it in a positive way and that you would tackle it and be resilient and persevere through all those struggles. We just knew the four of you would do that. And you've been so positive and amazing when I know behind the eyes that you were thinking, I just spent 16 hours filming that 50 times, but you didn't show that to us. Your positivity and just, just facing that challenge, knowing it was difficult, but you never complained or said, this is awful, this is so hard, this is not what I signed up for. There's not enough money that you were paid to do that. But what I was going to share is that Sarah and Lindsay, we've taken like groups of people, and Allie too, to your classrooms to watch your ELA instruction. And I'll never forget when we asked Sarah and Lindsay to do math.
Do you have the right
like they were confused.
What?
When I hung up the phone, I told Mason, I said, I don't know if they really meant to call me.
No, I called Allie and asked her if she wanted to switch.
I knew probably some of that was going on. I know you, Lindsay, Spain, well enough to know that you were doing those phone calls saying, please change with me. They won't mind if we do that. But here's the thing, Lindsay and Sarah, look how you grew with math. I mean, I know that you wouldn't pick that as your strong point, but now you may. I mean, you just faced that challenge and embraced it, even though we asked you to get out of your comfort zone. And I think that that's what we do as a district. We push teachers out of their comfort zone because we see that in you. We see that you can do that. We just need you to see it. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And Dr. Jones and Dr. Hudson, they were asking me, what I learned the most. And I said, well, Jill mentioned at the beginning, you all are going to be better teachers because of this. And I thought, oh yeah, we'll definitely be better teachers, but I never realized how much better. Like I realized, I talk a lot and I can go down a rabbit hole, and looking at these scripts, if I was in my classroom, I might have expanded on certain things depending on their reactions. And now I'm like, okay, Lindsay, stick to the basics and see. And then I feel like I was always overcompensating because I thought of myself as a learner. Mm-hmm. And that was really good too. And Allie and I have talked about, using these videos with RTI, using them with our higher ones, with our lower ones, the ways we can incorporate them, next year. Mm-hmm. And it really has turned into more aha, or yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do this.
I agree. And I agree with Lindsay. I think it's made me a stronger teacher too. And I think that it's made me stronger in teaching through a video.
Yes.
Because now we're making videos for our kids weekly. Yes. And I feel like my videos are like at an all-time high. Because I'm like, oh, I've got this. I've got this experience now. And I know what I want to say in my video. And I'm, like Lindsay said, more concise, more to the point. It's easier, comes more naturally for me to make the video than it did previously.